What's going on, everybody? It's your boy Shooky from Shook Earth Media, and today we're talking about a new series in The Walking Dead comic universe. This is not related to the TV show or AMC's incarnation of The Walking Dead. This is the Skybound version, which is, to me, is still the ultimate version. I love the comic series as much as I enjoy the show. I've had my criticisms of it here and there. But the comic to me is the pinnacle. It is the truest form of what The Walking Dead is. And aside from the Clementine comic, which I'm really dreading, given the promotion that we've seen thus far, uh, everything else that Skybound has done with the Walking Dead license has been a hit for me. I mean, I love the original comic series, of course. They had a video game, a VR video game called Saints and Sinners. That's really good. The Telltale games, excellent. And of course, the final season of that was finished by Skybound themselves, with people from Telltale Games as contractors. And they've also released a book series that is actually really good too. So I'm looking forward to this, and they've had spin-off comics as well. But I'm curious about what this means. It's called The Last Mile, and they are trying to coin a new term. They call it a mile massively interactive live event. So, what does this mean? As far as I'm concerned, I would guess that this is a live stream show where there's going to be polls for the audience to decide what happens next, like a choose your own adventure game, presumably somewhat modeled after the Telltale games, except instead of getting to see both options, the audience votes and decides which way to go forward. So it's an interesting concept. Let's just dive into their announcement and see what it is. So it will enable fans to directly experience and impact a persistent The Walking Dead world and characters. So Genvid Entertainment, which I actually don't know who they are, and Skybound Entertainment today announced The Walking Dead Last Mile, a massively interactive live event mile. I've never heard of a mile before. Let's go to their website and check it out. Genvid, it looks like they coined this term themselves, and they seem to have done these before. So there's something called Rival Peak, and I'm assuming that the goal is to make the lean back entertainment is the term they're using here, merging it with interactive entertainment. And I like the concept. I think it could work. It's really going to depend on execution, of course, but I find the technology interesting. Looks like they've had quite a few projects here. So interesting that I haven't heard of this before, because I like the idea. And with live streaming technology now, it seems like it's a great avenue for scripted storytelling. So I think it could be interesting. It's launching this summer as a Facebook Gaming and Facebook Watch exclusive. Now, as somebody who doesn't really use Facebook that much, I'm not necessarily a fan of the fact that it's exclusive, but presumably they must have a deal with Meta to fund it. So I'm assuming that's what it is. So part game, part interactive television show. The Last Mile will immerse participants around the globe in the universe of The Walking Dead in new and unparalleled ways, putting the all-new story and protagonists in the hands of the players as the saga unfolds minute by minute, day by day, and week by week. So Robert Kirkman has a statement here. Audience members can stream a living, breathing world of The Walking Dead, working collectively and individually to impact the story at every turn. We're excited to collaborate with our partners Genvid and Facebook to bring this pioneering vision to life. So that's Robert Kirkman, creator of The Walking Dead's statement on the matter. And I find it interesting that he says working collectively and individually here. What does he mean by individually? Because if it's a live event, does he mean like individuals voting in it that becomes collective? Because those are separate things, right? Is there going to be maybe a game component to it as well, where you can play the game on your own? Or there's going to be like spin-offs and all that? Now, here's the thing. I'm somewhat cynical when it comes to Telltale style games with these drama games with choices and decisions. I mean, you look at Mass Effect and games like that, where most of the choices end up having slight changes, but they end up going down the same route. And I understand why you do that from a production standpoint, but just as a fan, I've always wanted something a bit more divergent. But since this is a collective experience and there is only ultimately one version of it, unless they show us alternate takes, I'm assuming that the choices are really going to be rather limited, and they're going to have to produce both to have them ready at the time. But I do think we're going to get those slight differences that end up coming back together at the end. So an example would be, in just standard dialogue in these games, you pick a dialogue choice, then one line, sometimes the dialogue choice you pick doesn't even make a difference, and the next dialogue from a character you're speaking with is just the same regardless of what you say. That happens quite often. Other times there's one line there that's unique to you, and then they transition to their next line. And of course, this makes sense in terms of production, because you'd be making essentially 12 different games if you really made it as divergent as I want it to be. But I'm kind of cynical about the whole choices thing. I feel like it's going to be rather limited. But if there's a good story here and it expands the world in an interesting way, I'm here for it. I'm definitely going to check it out. We're going to look at trailers, or, they don't announce anything about what the story actually is. So they're pushing the technology, pushing this new form called a Mile, massively interactive live event, and they're promoting that, but they're not promoting what it actually is about. So that to me is going to make or break whether this is worth seeing or not. Because the Walking Dead game, the interactive element was a huge part of it, but if it wasn't for the strength of the characters, the relationship between Clementine and Lee, and how that evolved over time, and Clementine's arc as a character leading into the final season, if it wasn't for any of that, it wouldn't have been the same thing. So really, it's all going to be determined by how good the actual story is, if it's something that is engaging enough on its own to warrant this type of storytelling. I'm curious to see how big this is going to be. The fact that it's exclusive to Facebook, to me, feels a little limiting. If it was on Twitch, YouTube, and Facebook, and elsewhere as well, I would feel a lot more strongly that it would be fairly successful. But as it is, I just have trouble seeing it being as successful as I think they want it to be. But, we'll see. Facebook is funding it as well, so, they of course need the money for production. So I get that. I'm curious to see where this goes. What do you guys think it's going to be? How do you guys think the story's going to go? The Last Mile, that title doesn't really tell us a lot. And we got a cover here that's in the winter, so that's a hint at the setting. But, I mean, we've had winter on The Walking Dead before, so that's not a unique selling point. So I'm curious what the unique selling proposition of the story is going to be, aside from the format. So, of course, they put Mile in the title because that's what they're called, the technology is, Last Mile. So I'm curious what it's going to be about. So let me know what you guys think in the comment section down below. Are you excited for this? You looking forward to it? You think it's a cash grab? You think it's pointless? What do you guys think of it? And what are your predictions for how it's going to go? And stay tuned for my Walking Dead footage, or coverage rather. I covered the TV show, and we're also covering the comics. I love the comics more as much as I love the show too. But yeah, keep it locked on Shook Earth Media. I'm going to be reviewing, unfortunately, the Clementine comic. We're going to be reviewing that when it comes out this summer. So keep it locked on Shook Earth Media if you want to see how that turns out without buying it yourself. So that's the video for today, guys. Thanks for watching. Hit me with that sub if you want to see more Walking Dead stuff. Hit that like button if you like this, and I would love to hear from you in the comment section down below. With that said, it's been your boy Shuggy. Thanks for watching. Have a good one, everybody. Peace out.